Okay, so this is 10 minutes after 6, and um, I'm sure we have a lot to discuss today. So somebody actually just pointed out to me that since we're going to be um, streaming and uploading to a YouTube live, some people would just want to watch on the live as well. So I don't know, Dr. Damola, is it fine by you if we just get started right now?
Yes, that works for me. That's fine.
All right, all right. So, good evening once again, everyone, and welcome to the second session of the Anki Flashcards 101 series. And 2 weekends ago, we had our first session with Dr. Olumide Bankole, where he um, basically gave us an introduction to the platform that we all know as Anki, and also give us a rundown on how to set up and log into Anki, and also how to create cards. Yeah, so we're going to be going further in this second session. And today we have Dr. Evan Adetoye with us, and he's going to give us a run through of how to do more with Anki. So we're basically just going to be picking up from where we stopped um, at the last meeting. So, Dr. Damola, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. I hope I'm audible and everyone can hear me if I continue because I'm using AirPods. All right, no problem. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the committee or the executives for setting up something like this because when it comes to Anki and learning, it's something I'm very passionate about. I think I also have to extend gratitude to Dr. Bankole Lumide for at least, let's say, coming up with something like this also because it was not informed me about it. I was like, well, makes sense. So this is something that it's actually something I like talking about when it comes to Anki, space repetition, and active recall. And hopefully by the end of today, we'll be able to give one or two things in terms of making our Anki life, let's say, easy and well tolerable in a way. Sure. So let's just get started. I don't want to waste our time. So let's get into it. So this is my outline for today. I'll be talking briefly about my Anki journey and why Anki for medical school, creating effective flashcards from school materials, and also the Anki deck for medical students. Yeah, so my journey so far, it will actually be, how can I say, the session will actually be incomplete without me talking about how I got to where I am today through the help of Anki. And ideally, I should just go straight to the point of today, which is creating effective flashcards for for medical students and also using the Anki deck. But before I talk to anybody about Anki, I know Olumide already talked about the basics, like how to create flashcards, why space repetition works, and why it's important for learning. The yield of space repetition compared to other techniques of studying. But I just can't talk about Anki without still reinforcing some points and in a way, probably when you understand how I got to where I am today with Anki, you might be able to, but I'm probably motivated, I don't know. But you might be able to get the gist of where I'm coming from and why I'm passionate about this particular space repetition app because Anki is not the only app for space repetition. There are a variety of apps like that. I know some of us know about Quizlet. Even what's it called? Some learning platforms, some language learning platforms also use space repetition. I think Memories does, and some other ones like that. I'm not sure if Duolingo has incorporated that into their app yet, but I'm sure the Memories does a platform for space repetition. So my journey so far. So I think I can't talk about my journey with Anki without talking about Dr. Najib because during my early days in medical school, then like you go to class, especially when it comes to physiology, basically you listen to them in class sometimes, but you know that this thing is deeper than what they are saying, you understand? So somewhere along the line, I got to know about Dr. Najib videos. And to be honest, I've never seen throughout my history of learning and going to school and everything, I've never seen a better teacher than that man. When it comes to teaching, I think he's number one in the world at it. Nobody's better than him. So he talked about when he teaches this concept, or people are familiar with Osinachi, he say, okay, for people studying for USMLE, take note of this. I'm like, okay, what's special about USMLE? Why is he giving USMLE students preferential treatment in a way? So I just went online. I started about, okay, what is USMLE? Then I realized that, okay, fine, it's an exam that you need to write before you can actually practice as a medical doctor in the US. Hope I'm still audible, I'm not just talking to myself. So after the whole thing, I was like, okay, fine. I also have let me say the dream of actually practicing in the US one day. But like, okay, what does USMLE entail? So from there, I did a little bit about research about USMLE and the US medical education in a way. And since it was something I was also interested in, I was like, okay, fine. From there on, I knew that my competition was no longer, or my competition was no longer medical school, my classmates in a way. They were now the US medical guys. So I did a deep dive into, okay, how do these guys study and how do they study for the USMLEs in a way. And I found out that one major resource that they use is Anki. Then I was what's it called, curious about, okay, what's Anki about and why is it important for US medical guys? What's the rave about? So I went and did my study about Anki and why it was important. And I don't know if those of us are familiar with first aid. I think one of the first few pages of first aid, they will highlight the different techniques for reading or for learning. And they will, I think, divide it into low yield, intermediate, and probably high yield. I can't remember the video again, but definitely one of the high yield methods of learning was spaced repetition and active recall using Anki. I think the one with the highest yield was using past questions to study. So from then on, I knew that fine, this is something I had to incorporate in a way, one way or the other. But definitely, I think a lot of us have actually stumbled on Anki one way or the other before, probably two YouTube videos already from a coursemate. Then I felt like tested it. So I gave it like a month to use it. I started using Anki around 2019 to 2020. So I've been using Akin for close to 5 or 6 years now. And I can actually tell you that it's probably the it's probably the highest form of investments or the biggest form of investments you can do to your learning on whatever level. And Anki did not start from medical school stuff. It started from people that wanted to learn Chinese. So I use Anki for basically everything. I use it to learn languages. I use it for medical school. I use it even outside of medical school, even medical practice. I still use Anki. And it just makes learning a lot easier. So that's where my journey started from studying with USMLE, studying about the USMLE guys or medical US guys and how they study for their exams and let's say 6 years down the line now, and this is where I'm at. So I remember then medical school, if I want to write when exams or in courses are coming very near. That's when I was in 20 level, there about 20 level, early 300 level. So when my mates have progressed from reading and they're reading into past questions, so I'll just be trying to get through the materials one way or the other. But ever since I started using Anki, I think one of the most, let's say, the less stressful period for me is just very close to exams. Those 2 weeks when you're about to do your MBs, that's when I find most less stress in medical school. That's because I've already done my work from the beginning of school. I just chill during that period and go and write my exams, and God does it year after year. So that's just the way my stuff has been so far. That's my journey so far. And like one very wise man has said, repetition is still the mother of learning and the father of action, which makes it the architect of accomplishment. There's really nothing, anybody that is an expert at anything that doesn't use repetition one way or the other. That's just it. So that's my journey so far, and I'm 6 years in. You can see my Anki streak and what it is currently, and that's the journey so far. So now moving on, why Anki for medical school? I think Dr. Olumide already talked about this in depth. Why the pros and the cons, especially when it comes to Anki as a tool. It works on two basic principles: active recall and spaced repetition. And science has shown, and a lot of research has shown that using active recall and spaced repetition actually enhances learning a lot. I don't like to call Anki a memorization tool alone. I think it's more than that. It is deeper than that. Yeah. So for people that want to know more about active recall and spaced repetition, you can actually go to what's it called? OOUMSA Lab. He's a neuroscientist that works in Stanford. He has a podcast episode that is about active recall and spaced repetition. So you can listen to that just to get more insights. And a lot of people have done work on repetition. Like this guy, I know they showed us this curve, the learning curve or the forgetting curve. Ebbinghaus worked on that. Then also a lot of the psychologists have worked on spaced repetition and how it works. So basically today, I think Olumide has talked majorly about the pros. Then something that is important again is consistency, and that's something that Anki gave me. Anki gave me consistency in medical school because I know I need to do my flashcards every day. So, and for those of us that are interested in going through the USMLE pathway or any of the international exams, it is very difficult to be combining your schoolwork with learning for or reading for international exams. And that's where Anki comes in, because Anki keeps you consistent and keeps you grounded, not to forget, okay, what is important to you, depending on what your goals and your objectives are. So Anki brought that consistency for me when it comes to reading for international exams, also in a way for medical school, really. It brought that consistency and made me prepare for the international exams better. And also, Anki is open source. Dr. Midi also mentioned that you can share decks, you can even edit some of the features of Anki, and it makes it just perfect. Then when it comes to the cons, definitely for beginners, Anki is not user friendly, because once you open the app, you're like, what's going on here? You're probably confused and all. But one good thing is there are a lot of it's a very used tool, a very well used tool. So online YouTube videos, you'll see a lot of YouTube videos on Anki on how to start and stuff like that. And also it requires effort, because for space repetition to work, it's something that you need to put effort in every day. And that's where most people get tired and just say Anki is not for me, because definitely to put the effort to do these things every day might actually be quite tasking for people that don't really trust Anki. But for me, Anki is the center of my learning. Like, there's nothing I do without Anki, basically. When I read, when I learn my concepts, I learn the concept, keeping in mind that I'm still going to do Anki. So I don't put things that, when it comes to memorization, I don't even take note of them. When I learn, when I read for concepts. I look out for concepts and understanding, basically. I know that Anki will do the rest in terms of memorization and putting it into long-term memory. So that's just it. So where does it fit? Because that's one major thing I need to also talk about Anki. Anki is something that is a tool, so it depends on how you use it. It's a very effective tool if you use it the right way, and a lot of people use it the wrong way, and they get the wrong results. Been talking about Anki for like 5 or 6 years, so I've heard all the stories that Anki is not for me, it doesn't work for me, or let's say I just get tired of it. Sometimes I even forget all the things I've read before because I used Anki, and that's because you're not using it the right way. You're not using it the proper way. Anki is primarily not a learning tool, and some people use it as a learning tool, which is where the problem comes from. And Anki is not something that you use to cram, so you can use it that way, but that's not the function of Anki. That will not bring the, let's say, the maximum effects the app is or the tool is meant to bring. Anki is Anki helps you to put things in your long-term memory. So first of all, when you learn, the first thing to do is to learn the concept and understand it properly and deeply. And you do that by, some people watch YouTube videos, some people watch just videos in general. Some people read textbooks, some people go for lectures, whatever works for you. So you need to learn the concept first and understand it deeply. Anki will not do that for you. So if you just jump into Anki without learning and understanding your concept deeply, definitely Anki will not work up to the maximum it should. So you need to first learn and understand your concepts, like eat your books and really study. Once you study and you understand that concept 100%, that's when you can now go to Anki, and that's where Anki comes in. Anki is a space repetition app or tool, and also for active recall. It helps you to keep what you've read long term. So it's for long term retention. So Anki comes in, then once you do it and put the effort over time, it stays. Then you now apply your concepts, and that's where you can apply your concept with different methods. First of all, it's question banks, and science have proven, and let's say research has proven that using of question banks or practice questions is like is the highest used method of studying anywhere in the world. So once you've learned your concepts, you use Anki to put into your long-term memory. Next thing you want to do is to apply those concepts you've learned by studying practice questions or past questions. I don't mean the way we do it in our medical school where you just cram it and go and put it back. No, like I mean really using the practice questions to really test your knowledge of the concepts you've learned and in a way learn more. So you can also do that by practicing, because that's what we are doing here basically. So after you've read, you saw past questions, so for the clinical guys, go to the boards, you can apply what you learned in real life scenarios. So that's just like this. Let's say the progression of learning. So learning doesn't just end where you read your textbooks and that's all fine. It also puts it into long-term retention with Anki, then apply those concepts with practice questions. Then based on the order of use, practice question is number one, followed by speech repetition and active recall, then learning the concept. Because basically, you need to learn the concept. Everybody has to learn the concept, and that's the way it works. So I just needed to say those things, just for us to have a very good understanding of where we are going to. So when you know where you're coming from, you know where you're going to. So creating flashcards, effective flashcards in medical school, especially in our medical school. Actually, I spoke to Lumi about this, and this is a very, let's say, I won't say subjective, but our medical school exams are not concept based. They are basically fact based. Or let me say who has solved the past questions and who can regurgitate it back. So basically, when you want to use Anki in medical school, you just have to be a little bit smart about it. It doesn't guarantee you to be the best in your class, but definitely it will help you retain what you've learned long term. So now the question is, do I create concept-based flashcards or I create fact-based flashcards? Honestly, to get the best out of Anki, you need to create concept-based flashcards, because creating fact-based flashcards will increase number of cards you do. Like it just increases your workload. But the point is, concept-based flashcards will not work for our medical school exams because they are more fact-oriented exams. They want to know if you know this fact. They don't really interested if you really understand the concept or not. So that's where the issue comes in, the dilemma comes in. So should I create a concept-based flashcard or do I create a fact-based flashcard? And I think for our medical school, based on my knowledge so far, you create a fact-based flashcard. And that's because that is what the exam will test you on. So there's no point in making flashcards based off of concepts when your exam will test you based off of facts. You understand? So that's just the easy principle. And I think OOUMSA has already done justice to that already. He already showed us different parts, different types of notes that we have and how to make flashcards. I think in the course of today's session, I'll just show you more about it. But basically, he has already covered everything. For a fact-based flashcard or fact-based exam, you just want to use a closed edition basically because you are in a way reading it in lines and open questions with answers. So I'll be showing that when I start sharing my Anki page now or my Anki app, so we can learn more about that. Okay, now I think before I move to Anki deck for medical school, I should just stick with creating effective flashcards. So just give me a minute to share my Anki with you guys. Yeah, so I was importing a deck incoming. Just give me a minute, please. Yeah, so I don't know if this is turning up yet. Yeah, so this is my page. I'm aware most of us do not have the Anki deck yet, or probably some of us do. So we made provisions for that after the session for us to share the deck with us. So I'm just going to go right straight into how to create your own effective flashcards. Come in. So first thing you have to do before you create a flashcard is to create a deck. Just like a deck means a pack of cards, you understand. So the way I like to describe it in layman terms is just you have documents, or let's say, yeah, document or files that you want to store. So first of all, you need a folder to store those documents in. And that's where your deck comes in. So you can name your deck whatever you want to name it. So let's just name this one fresh. So the deck is fresh. So this is the folder that will contain my documents, or let's say my cards in a way. And I can just come here, click on that deck. Yeah, so it is doing. Then I can press A for add card. So you can just press A. Then it brings these templates for you. There are different types of cards that you can definitely make. There are different card types. So this is a basic card. A basic card is just like a normal paper flashcard where you put the question in front, then you answer at the back. So for example, let me say, what is this session about? So that's the question. Okay, the stuff is not showing. I'm coming. Sorry. Let me share. Stop sharing. So as I was explaining, this is a basic kind of let's say notes. Yeah. So this is a note. A note is just the template on which I build my flashcard in a way. So this is a note. There's a note type. There's also the deck where you want to put your notes, or sorry, your card into. So we've clicked on fresh. So we are storing these cards that we're about to make into the fresh deck. So the notes, there are different types of notes that you can have. There's a basic card, like I said before, it's just like a normal paper flashcard where you put the question in the front page, then the answer at the back. There's also the basic and reverse card. This one just shows the answer first, and he asks you what the question is. Not so useful for medical school. Then there's the close card. Close card is just filling the gap. I think OOUMSA already put us through majority of these things. So when it comes to creating flashcards as a medical student, so you can use your basic card, just normal front and back. I don't use this much. I use majority of the closed edition cards. And so the question is, what is this session about? Definitely, it's about Anki. So this is Anki time. So that's just the card. Then you can press Control and Enter to create your card. So that creates the card. So by the time you go back to your deck, I don't really explain all this, you'll be able to see the card that you just created. So if we go to this is the history of all the cards you are currently making, and that's it. So that's the way a basic card works. You put the question in the front page, then the answer at the back, and that's all. So now let's go to the one kind of card that I like to use majorly, or notes, the kind of the notes type I use majorly most of the time. So that's the normal closed division. There are different types of closed divisions, but let's just say proper closed division works. So let's choose it. We are still under the fresh deck. Yeah. So we can see that there's a place for text where you impute your flashcard, the content of flashcard. Then extra also for anything extra that you want to add. And one of the principles of creating flashcards is you don't want to bombard yourself with so many information. Ideally, you should keep it at one card per fact, maximum of two. Even sometimes because of the volume of what you have to make cards for, and because of our exams are fact-oriented, you might want to squeeze in three, but maximum. And if possible, if it's going to be three, let the three be concepts that are interconnected or facts that are connected together in a way. But ideally, you should just create a concept per card. That's the ideal way to create your card. But definitely, we are not in an ideal setting, so we just need to work as this thing goes. So yeah. So what does a closed note type look like? It's just a fill in the cap kind of thing. So it's just like okay, let's say this. Okay, caps lock is on. So this session is on what? So it's on Anki. So you can do that, press Anki. But one way to go about this, then you highlight it, then it comes to your closed deletion icon here. Then you click on closed deletion. But there's a faster way to do this. So instead of doing that, so since you are creating a fill in the gap kind of card, so this session is on Anki. So before I click on press the answer there, which is Anki, I just use the shortcut command, that's Control Shift together with C. So that automatically gives me the closed deletion. Let's say, is it icon I'll call it now, but the closed deletion stuff, it just shows me there. Then I can just type my answer into the closed deletion. So Anki. So create the card, I can just press Control and Enter, and that creates the card there. So that's basically how to create one. Let me show you guys the template now. Okay, it's not showing yet. Coming. Yeah, let me stop sharing. Let me share my screen instead of going back and forth. Yeah, so I'm just sharing my screen now instead of creating sharing just a single part. So I'm sharing my screen now. So the card will show you what is there now. What is the session about? That's the first kind of card that we made, which was a basic card. So what's the session about? It's about Anki. So you can just press your space bar and it shows you the answer or enter. Why is this not showing? Okay, show answer anyhow. So Anki. So that's kind of basic card that shows you the front and back. But the type you're most likely to use, then you can click on again, hard, good, or easy based on how easy it was for you. So I'm still going to work on the settings, or let's just go to the settings now because this setting is not correct. This is not the ideal setting for your cards. I think we have to talk about that. Yeah. So to the settings for the cards. So go to options here to set your OOUMSA key. So now you can see for the settings page, you can see number of new cards per day that you want to do. Ideally, you can do as many cards as you want per day. But definitely, the more new cards you do, the more reviews you're going to have. That's just the basic principle. So reviews are cards that you've done before. So you can put this as 50, depending on how far you want to learn and how far you want to take Anki. You can put this as 20, you can put it at 50, whatever. It depends on you. So you can just change this to 50. And then maximum reviews per day. Ideally, you want to put this at 99999. So you want to do as many reviews as possible. So it's not as possible. You want to do all the reviews you have for that day. And that's the way Anki works. You need to do all your reviews as at 20. So even if you have 1,000 reviews, you need to do them that day. But obviously, you should not be having 1,000 reviews if you set your stuff up. So then what else? Okay, new cards ignore limits. Okay, new cards ignore review limits. You can leave these ones out. Then learning steps. So we want to put this to 10 minutes. Then 1440, that's 1 day. So 1440 is equals to 1 day. 1 minute equals 1 day. Then graduating interval. That means when you've actually learned that card to a reasonable extent. So you put this to 3 days, then your easy interval to 4 days. So the sequential order should be oldest card first before the new cards. Then this one, you're not really not bothered about this. Then new card gather type. Yeah, something that is also important for you to change here is new or review order. So you don't want to mix your reviews with new cards. The first thing you want to do when you wake up and whatever time set for your new day is that you want to do your reviews first before you do new cards. So show your new cards after reviews. So that's the way it works. Then you can just save this setting. Yeah, so that setting we're going to basically be working with, at least for beginners. There are different ways to tweak this. You can tweak the easy interval, you can tweak a lot of things, but for now, just keep it at that for beginners. So study now. Yeah, so what is this session about? This session is about Anki. So that brings it. So you can either press again, this will bring it back in less than 10 minutes. If it is if you could not remember the fact at all, you can press add if you found it difficult to remember that fact. You can press read if it was easy for you to remember. Then you can press easy if it was very easy for you to remember. So it depends on how easy it was for you. Then you just move that way. Yeah. So that's just basically, let's say this was good. You can remember this. Now, this is your closed decision type of card. It's like filling the gap. So this session is on what? Is on Anki. So basically, that's what it is. So now let me show you another way to make that card. So instead of doing this filling the gap format, you can do it in the form of question and answer format. So you can say, what is this session about? Question mark. Then you come up with that stuff again. The closed decision, is it key or anyway or stuff? So you just press Control Shift, then C. So it brings out your closed division out. Then you can click on, you can type your answer in, which is Anki. Yeah, so that's the way it works. Then Control Enter. So that creates that card. So this is the way the card will look like. Not this now. Coming. Not custom study. Let me create it. Okay. Then I've created that before. Why are you not showing? Yeah. Yeah, so this is the card I just created. This is a question kind of card, question answer kind of card. So what is this session about? It's about Anki. So that's basically, those are the two major ways by which I create flashcards, especially when it comes to medical school flashcards. You just use your presentation, basically. You can do what Basic can do. You can bring it in a kind of question and answer format. And you can also use fill in the gap, depending on what you feel is best for the exam you are preparing for. And something about the closed edition is you can add extra facts, or let's say explanation, into your cards. So let's go again and create this card. So what is this session about? So the answer to that is Anki. And then from here, I can just put a little bit explanation why we are holding a session on Anki. That is because it is effective for learning. So you can just put that, then Control Enter. So that adds the card. So what is this session about? It's about Anki. I think it was one we created before. So this one, you can see that underneath, it's putting that explanation under the card for us. What is the session about? It's about Anki, and we are doing it because it is effective for learning. So these are the ways, these are just the basic ways you can create your flashcards. Then something else you can do is you can definitely add images to your cards. So after you created that card, you can say, okay, fine, what is the session about Anki? Then probably put it effective for learning, then put an image that can probably help you remember the facts well, you can put it there. And there's also something called image occlusion. That's like advanced kind of thing where you put an image into the question. So the question here, the text here will be an image. Then you use some form of settings. You know, we're not settings, but basically it's just an add-on where you can occlude. Let's say it works perfectly for labelings. Let's say parts of the body. So you can just put the parts of the body there and the labeling for different parts of the body. And then you occlude the answers to the different parts of the body. So let's say like a chart now that shows different parts of the body and labels it there. So you can use your image occlusion to just occlude all the answers. Okay, my face, the eyes, the arms, and the legs, and everything. Then to now show you as, okay, what is this? Then it brings the answer back for you. Then so it's just like it's covering it up. The question covers it, then the answer reveals the answer. That's just the way it is. So that's another way you can create your cards. So there are different ways to create cards. In fact, the stuff goes beyond this. You can even design your own kind of notes that you want to use, because this is stuff for is under what's here, by manage notes types. So you can do a lot of stuff with Anki. It's actually almost endless in the way. But that's just the basic stuff you need to know to get started with creating your flashcards. And like I said before, depending on the kind of exam you're preparing for, you can either do it concept based or you do it fact-based, but because of our medical school exams, you might want to stick to creating your fill in the gap kind of cards, and question and answer would have, let's say, goes more on facts, not concepts per se. So now I think going to what is important next, because we've talked about creating effective flashcards. Then now is Anki deck for medical school. And this is very important because before you can use any deck, you need to know how the deck was made and what the deck was made for. Very, very important. And this is one of the reasons why it is very important for you to create your own flashcards yourself. But definitely, medical school is tedious, and you might not have enough time to create cards ourselves. So we might want to rely on pre-made decks. I think when we were in Part Farm for level, yes, we created some Part Farm specific decks based off of our school materials. Yes, and yeah, I remember we created a flashcard based on Dr. Ambali's slides, and I think some were histopathology of the baby slides and all. So you can also create your flashcard, which is one of the it's even the most recommended for you to create your flashcards. But definitely there are constraints to that, the time factor, the effort the effort that's required to actually create flashcards is actually very immense, and it might even scare some people and just let them put them off Anki. So we then rely on Anki, or let's say pre-made decks. So when it comes to using Anki deck for medical school, so I need just to talk about a little bit about what the Anki deck is and what it was made for. So initially, the Anki deck started from it did not start as the Anki deck, definitely. It started from some decks that were modified to what it is today to the Anki deck. So it started from Bruce and Fallon, and for some of us that are aware, majority of us know the Zanki deck. So the Zanki deck was made off of the Bruce and Fallon deck, and it was made by a guy, Glutaminous. So some of us might know the guy or not, but people that have been in the Anki game for a long time, they know Glutaminous because we initially started using the Zanki deck before we now migrated to the Anki deck. And then Anki was it was not as complicated as it is right now. They made a lot of advancements when it comes to using Anki. Like a lot of add-ons have been created. You can even do Anki while you're jogging, while you're on the treadmill. You can do it in different. They've actually made a lot of sophistication to the whole thing. But during those old days when the stuff was just about doing flashcards and all. So Vitaminist created the Zanki card, the same Fallon. Then eventually they created the Blue Galaxy cards, the Kano. Then before it now became the Anking deck. So now the Anking deck was basically created, or let's say the evolution of those decks now. These cards or these decks were created for the USMLE, or let's say the USMLE step 1 and step 2 exams. So it might not be the ideal deck to study for your medical school. But when it comes to one thing about the USMLE materials or the study materials that they have, or their materials in general, whether it is the first aid, UWorld, or Patoma, boards and beyond, whatever it is, one thing about those materials is that's just, and when you now combine those materials with space repetition, to be honest, nobody is going to levels of knowledge. Someone can know something, but when someone that has a deeper knowledge about that thing comes, this person really sabi to that leg extent. You understand? And that's something about the USMLE materials or the study materials that they have. They are, let's say, that's the pinnacle of everything. I can bet it with you that someone that watched Patoma videos and boards and beyond, if you compare the person to someone that read what's it called now? What's the name of this big book? Robbie's Our Contract, for example. It even happened during our sets. People that watch Boards and Beyond videos and watch Patoma videos, they use their Anki decks and all, even knew better than people that just read Robbie's Our Contract. And that's because the learning is structured with those videos highlights the important points that you need to know, and it emphasizes it to a very deep level in a way. So the point is that I'm already even digressing, but the point is the Anki deck was made from USMLE materials. So before you can actually use those materials, you need to know what they were made from and why they were made. So they were basically made for step 1 and step 2 exams. That's the total conversation. But definitely some of us still use those decks because of the learning aspect of it. Because once you know the materials in those decks, or you know the materials, or you know the Patoma, use sports and beyond, or use sketchy, micro sketchy farm. During our time, it was not so common for people to use all these materials, but I think now it's now becoming more rampant for medical students to use the materials. But once you use these materials to read, like that's the highest level you can actually get to in a way. Then you can just I don't even think you need textbooks here, but you can use textbooks just to solidify some things. Or okay, what's the Patoma not say that boards and sorry, that Robbins and Contrans said or something like that, then that's just it. So before you can use any of these decks, you need to know the materials they were made from. I remember when I said when you want to use and learn concept first. So you want to use the anking deck. Ideally, you should learn those concepts from the materials those decks were made from. So which means that, okay, fine, if you want to, for guys in part, let's say part-time class now, so you want to go to a specific pathology deck in Anki, you should have obviously learned, or let's say learned the concepts using either Patoma or Boards and Beyond. You understand? That's the way it works. Because definitely some of these concepts that you might find in this deck will not be relevant to your medical school exam at all. But definitely if you want to use the deck as a medical student, number one, there are different advantages it gives you as a medical student, but not necessarily when it comes to your medical school exams, because definitely the fact that you understand the concept does not give you the right to pass an exam. It depends on what you eventually do when it comes to your exam preparation that determines how well you pass the exam. So you can know a concept and definitely not pass the exam because they are two different things entirely. Though one comes before the other. Ideally, when it comes to those different decks, let me go to my page here, so the ranking deck. So when it comes to the ranking deck, there are different decks inside. There's a lag here. Yeah, so this is the ranking as both step one and step two deck, like I said before, because the deck was basically made for step exams. Then from the step one, we have a lot of materials in the step one, sorry, a lot of decks in the step one deck, or let's say it's a lot of sub decks in the step one deck. So it ranges from your physiology to your biochemistry to anatomy, sort of to pathology, pharmacology, then also your psychiatry, biostatistics, and ethics. So this is a very, very modified hacking deck because this is my own stuff that I just imported here. It's a very, very modified one. This is not the original one. I've modified this deck a lot. So you might see some things that are normally not in normal Anki deck inside this. But the point is all the systems you can find in the step one Anki deck and actually works a lot. So definitely just to give a rundown of the materials the decks were made from. So when it comes to physiology, the physiology deck was made from what's the name of it again? Costanzo textbook here. So some of us used Guyton in medical school, some of us used Sembuligam, and some people used Ganon. So I used Guyton and I combined that with what's it called? Costanzo textbook. But when it comes to the step one physiology cards, they were made from Costanzo. So you might be finding some of the concepts in in the step decks for physiology in Constanzo. But normally if you have a very good grasp of physiology, you should be okay with the step physiology decks. Then for pathology, not pathology, yes. For my biochemistry was, I think it was previously first aid also. But for the biochemistry one, you can just go with normal biochemistry knowledge or probably watch Boards and Beyond videos. Some people say Dirty Medicine is also good. Dirty Medicine is a YouTube video. Or it's a YouTube page that does a lot of USMLE content. Biochemistry is one of them. Then what else again? Anatomy. Yeah, for anatomy, use your 100 concepts deck, which is what I'm highlighting here. Then when it comes to your pathology is basically where the deck was made from Patoma. Am I being audible? Okay, the deck was made from Patoma, Boards and Beyond, basically, and majority of these decks they use first aid also, but these are the core materials, Patoma, Boards and Beyond. Then when it comes to the pharmacology aspect, pharmacology is basically sketch pharmacology. I know majority of us are aware of sketch pharmacology. So majority of the decks or the flashcards we see in the pharmacology decks were made from sketching pharmacology. Now, when it comes to microbiology too, that was also sketching microbiology. So just to take note of that. Then psychiatry was a mix of different materials. So that's just a rundown. So just for you to know, okay, fine, if you see some of those concepts in those decks, or probably the physiology deck or pathology deck, you can know where the stuff was from. You can use that material to learn the concept in the first place. So when it comes to your pathology, you want to stick to your Boards and Beyond, which I highly recommend. And also Patoma. When it comes to physiology, pharmacology, you want to use sketchy pharmacology, microbiology, sketchy microbiology. Then when it comes to physiology, Constanzo, Guyton is fine, but Constanzo is simplified version. The biochemistry basically from different resources. Then psychiatry also from different resources. And what about biostatistics too from different resources. So that's the rundown of the Anki deck. So just for you to understand, it is primarily made for the USMLE exams or USMLEs, not for medical school. So it can be a little bit tricky when you want to use it for medical school. But when it comes to knowledge, to gain knowledge about these concepts, this is where the Anki deck comes in. But even though that your goal is just to pass your medical school exam, I'm sorry, but the Anki deck is not for you. And that's the honest truth. So now, after moving on from the evolution of the ranking deck, what it was made from and what it was made for, then we can now go to the different aspects. So now, ideally, when you want to use Anki for medical school, you should just come to browse here. So once you come to browse, let me maximize this. So when it comes to browse, I want to Anki deck. So I'm clicking on, so you can see on the sidebar left, you can see some different icons here. But you really want to concern yourself with the deck side and also the tags. So these are different tags. So, but really you don't need all these things for now. But yeah, so the decks. So this shows your different decks present in on my Anki currently. So we have the step one deck, which is this, then also the step two deck that contains all this. Then the first thing you want to do is to come here. If you are in preclinicals, definitely from 20 level to 20 level, you want to just come here. You want to use this. You want to suspend all the cards that you have. So just click on any of the cards here. Like I'm clicking, then press Ctrl A. This might take a time to show up, but once you press Ctrl A, you can use Ctrl J to suspend all the cards. So it will take a while, but it will suspend it very soon. And what you want to do is you want to learn the concept first. You've suspended all the cards. You learn, suspend just means that it's not show up as a new card when you go to your normal Anki page. I'm going to let it suspend and I'll show you what I mean. I'm sorry, am I still audible and are we following me? Hope I have not lost anybody yet. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so all these decks now are suspended. So by the time I go back to my normal Anki page, I mean, why is this not showing? Come in. Yeah, so you can see that the step one deck, no card is showing that I have because the blue means that I have new cards. Learn will show with red, then deal will show with green. But I don't have any length cards here or any reviews here, so it's not showing up. So the first thing you want to do is you want to suspend all the cards that you have. So once you suspend, now for example, assuming I'm on GIC, now again, this is a very modified version of Anki deck. I've put everything in one place. So this is for the GI pathology, pharmacology, and physiology. Normally, the normal Anki deck is not like this. So if you, for example, now your Anki GI, assuming you want to do your physiology, definitely, like I said, you'll have ideally read Constanzo or already learned the concept using Guiding or Semplica, whatever you used. Then you can come here, click on the deck, then click on Browse, click on any of the decks and press Ctrl A for controller. Select all the notes or all the cards inside the deck. Then you can also unsuspend with the same shortcut you used to suspend by pressing Ctrl J. Okay, it's showing 2007. I'm coming. Yeah, okay, browse now. Yeah. Ctrl A will select all the cards. Then I press Ctrl J to unsuspend those cards. And I can start doing them. So study now. So it starts bringing all the concepts and you start doing your Anki. So that's basically the way it works. So you can do this for whatever you are learning currently. As me, you're on GI pathology for the past some guys. Just come here to click on browse. So this gives you shows all the cards under GI pathology. Press Ctrl A, select all, then Ctrl J to also suspend. Then you come back here, you start studying. Your 450 concepts or 450 cards in this stuff. So I can just come here, click on the first one, then go down, press shift down, then click. So it highlights the first 35, then click again with pressing my shift down, then click again until it is 50. So I can just unsuspend this 50. Then when I come here, so only those 50 cards are available for me to do. So that's just another way to go about it. So the point is just for you to suspend the cards before you do them, then unsuspend when you are bringing the concept and about to put it into your long-term memory. So I think that basically covers the use for step one. And all the decks are present here. And use them, you can just click on any of them. Hematology is here, same thing. Hematology of the RBC, white blood cell, Selenus, pharmacology and pathology, everything is there. Same for all systems you can think of. So that's basically the way you use your Anki um, cards for preclinical, let's say step one materials from 20 level So basically it's a 400 level. But when it comes to the step 2 cards or the step 2 deck, it's quite different. But again, this is a very modified one because I already arranged it into the different systems that we have. So you can see the OBGYN cards here, the pediatrics, then medicine, all the systems involved for surgery. But the original deck wasn't like this. So now let me just run through what's next on the agenda here. Some add-ons, tags, filter decks, and shortcuts. So there are different add-ons that you'll be needing. I'll probably be sending those add-ons to the group. The add-ons are just like extra, if let's say features of Anki that you can decide to put on your own Anki or not. So basically I use like 3 or 4. There's one that is review roadmap that shows your streak it shows your streak, like your consistency so far, number of cards you do per day, how long you'll be consistent with Anki, and it just shows that. Then there's another one for rescheduling that I don't think you need that much that for the first as a beginner. But there are just different what's it called add-ons you can use to help your whole Anki experience. And when it comes to tags is just like when you tag something, when you just put a label to it. And you can see different tags there when it comes to your browse section. So these are tags, these are the step 1 cards. You can see different tags for step 1. So let's say for example, I'm doing is there Boards and Beyond here? Yeah, Boards and Beyond here. So I can just come here, click on Boards and Beyond for behavioral sciences. It shows me all the cards under Boards and Beyond for behavioral sciences. I can come here for cardio. It shows me everything on cardio. Then I can come to hematology, it shows me everything on hematology. So that's just tags. Then what else do I have there? Yeah, basically tags. Then shortcuts. So for example, if you are on the step 1, this is step 1 deck, and you want to select all the decks, all the cards that are in both the step 1 and the step 2 decks. So you can just come here, click on step 1, then click on control, then click on step 2. You can see that the number of cards here reduced from over 3,500 to 2,449. So it means that we have 2,449 cards that are both in the step 1 and step 2 deck. So that's the shortcut that you can use. That's the shortcut that you can use. And that shortcut is if you want to, let's say step 2 now, you are clicking on the step 2 deck. You want to only cards that are present in step 2 deck. You don't want any overlap. You want to include cards. You can press your Alt. That's after clicking on your step 2 deck. Control Alt, then click on step 1. So it practically removes, I don't think that would come in. Let me try it again. So step 2, 553. Yeah, you can see that's reduced to 6,000 cards. So this is just showing me all the cards that are for step 2 alone without involving step 1. Then, like I said before, if you want to suspend is Control J. If you want to select the deck, Control G. So it brings up all the decks here. And if you want to select cards, just press Shift. Let's say I want to select the first 25 here. So select Shift, then come here. Shows me 20. So Shift and click, shows me 25. I'm sorry, am I still audible? Are you following me? Like I've lost everyone. Mr. Vice President, please unmute your mic and let me know if I'm being followed.
We're following.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so that's basically it. For beginner level, I think that's what it out. Majority of the things you need have been talked about, and I think how to use Anki with your medical school rotations. So it's someone I've said before. For example, for the guys in clinical classes or even for preclinical classes, you just want to suspend all the cards that you have. Then you unsuspend them as you go through those subjects or go through those rotations. So normally the Anki deck, like I said before, is not divided into these different subjects where you have different systems in it. But I just did that for ease. So probably we'll just share this deck after the rotation is done. Yeah, so that's just it. Yeah. So benefits of the Anki deck outside of medical school. So the benefits are not so far-fetched. Like I will say, if you can know 70%, or let's say 60-something%, so let me just be at 70% of the concepts in your Anki deck, that means you are step 1 already, at least for step 1. And same thing for step 2, you can know 70%, so 80% of the content of the Anki deck, that means you are step 2 already. That's just basically it. So aside from the fact that it helps you to learn those concepts at a very deeper level, because there's a difference between someone that understands a concept, the physiology level, let's say you understand the physiology behind it, you understand the anatomy behind it, but not people understand the molecular basis for pathologies or for diseases or for different concepts. So one of the things that this deck does for you, that it helps you to understand using maths, or let's say those concepts that you learn because also the molecular, like uh, risk factor, the risk for the eye is inside because of the material they're made for. So that's one of the benefits. One of the benefits to understand those concepts is very valuable than majority of the classmates. That's the truth. And go there to all the classmates. Just to this skill. When it comes to understanding of concepts, definitely then the second advantage of using the is very easy for the US students. So that's basically it. I
I don't know if it's my network, but I think we've lost you, Dr. Damila.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we can hear.
So where did you hear me last?
You were saying that basically,
I was saying what?
you said that basically it. I think you were done making that point here.
Okay. So that's just it. I talked about the benefits of ranking deck outside of medical school, or create flashcards. So if anyone has questions, we can ask. Well, let's just see if you have questions for me or anything I need clarification I can talk about.
Okay, so I think the question I'll just ask before we get more questions would be around subscription tiers. Like if someone is going to subscribe to get more deck, like as opposed to creating decks by themselves, like how do they go about it?
Yeah, so when it comes to subscription for this, there's something called the Anki Hub. Anki is just a, let's say, community or how do you get them now? Or made by Anki, the majority of the familiar with it. So it made a kind of community where you store decks, create objects, and do just a variety of things. So for a kind of scholarship also to get the deck, where the scholarship, I think I did that like 2 years ago or so. But I think the deck should not more than it should not be up to $30, sha. I'm not sure. But instead of doing that or subscribing, if we can make the deck available, because one thing about the Anking guy, or let's say the Anki Hub, is they update those decks or the flashcards regularly. So what we can do is, I think Dr. Olumide has the current version of the Anking deck, so we can share that, put it on a, let's say, a drive and share the link. And also, I can also share the one I'm working with, but this is a very modified version. I think it makes your life easier at the end of the day, but I've added a lot of things to it. So I think you can subscribe for it. It's about probably $30. I don't know about, but you can also get it for free with a scholarship. And we can also do the third method I said. That we'll share, put it on the Google Drive, then we'll share the link so everyone can have access to it.
All right, then amazing. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other question? Please ask. Okay, Dr. Damola, I don't think we have any further questions at this time.
Okay, all right. I think we can call it a day then.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Damola, and thank you, Dr. Olumide. For everyone, thank you so much for joining in. And maybe if questions come up much later, you can just put them on the group chat and they will be addressed there. Thank you so much, everyone. The dates and time for the final session will be communicated. And thank you once again, Dr. Damola, for taking time out today. Good night, everyone.